Well, Minnie, it seems that Senor Luchadon didn't put you back in the basement after Elimination Chamber.
No, he's still in the basement.
I was wondering what happened to the two of you after I did
Yeah.
Raw last week by myself.
Yeah, he's still in timeout.
Yes.
Yeah, I apologize about that. Yeah, we got into a fight, and I had to take care of him to make sure he didn't come back out for a little bit.
That's very, very fair. So let's get through this before Senor Luchadon decides to get out of the basement again. But hello, all you Biconics wrestling nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Raw Squad Reviews, your weekly Monday Night Raw recap crew. I am your host, Mikey El Jefe himself. Joined with me, as always, this week is Minnie, aka the Prodigy, because Senor Luchadon is still in timeout after everything that transpired. It is a great time, and we are here to review WWE's Monday Night Raw from Monday, March 4th, 2024. Off the bat, me and Minnie were talking a little bit before we started recording. There's some interesting directions that we are headed with everything that's happening at WrestleMania. Some things I enjoyed, but other things I'm like, I'm not sure how to feel about this.
I don't know.
Yeah, WWE has been a very interesting thing. We're about, I want to say 4 weeks away from WrestleMania, which is nuts to think about. But yeah, we're 4 weeks away from WrestleMania. It's gonna get crazy. And we're itching ever so closer to that finish line that is night one and night two. But let's just jump into it. So Monday Night Raw kicks off what we normally are used to seeing. We get a promo. This time it was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is out there to kind of talk about and respond to The Rock's challenge in that 40-minute promo that we got on SmackDown. Jesus Christ, that was a
Which is
promo.
why we figured out Naomi didn't have her entrance cut and everything like that. People were pissed off about that because The Rock took too fucking long.
Between The Rock and Roman with their entrances and everything that was said, I was like, it did not need to be 40 minutes, but there's nothing more we can do here. But Cody talks about facing Roman Reigns, but there's a distraction in the form of The Rock. So basically, Cody recaps everything that has transpired with The Rock talking about Cody on social media and mocking Cody's dog. So Cody decided to go John Wick and tell The Rock to keep his dog's name out of his mouth, a la Will Smith minus the slap. And, the fans wanted to see Rock versus Reigns, but, then they wanted something else, which was Cody versus Roman. Essentially, Cody is just addressing everything that we have, you know, seen so far, recapping it for folks who might be joining for the first time. And Cody basically says that he is willing to have this match, you know, between Rock Roman and him and Seth, but he needs to talk about it with Seth, which, cue Seth coming out. Seth is 100% medically cleared, so he's going to be joining Cody on SmackDown to face the Bloodline. He says that he has Cody's back. Does Cody have his? Cody says he does. And he won't whine for another 20 minutes of the promo, just like The Rock did. So they'll be at SmackDown to answer The Rock, proposal. We are dragging this whole thing out so long. Holy crap, Nitty. This is dragging out so long.
I just, you know, I'm excited to see Seth, Cody, Roman, Rock in a match. Don't get me wrong. I just want this to be over. I'm hoping WrestleMania 40 is also known as the end of the bloodline. Like, I'm hoping the only person that comes out on top in any of their matches is Solo Sikoa. I'm hoping he even gets a match to begin with.
I know, man. I'm just like, I'm excited, looking forward to this, whole thing with Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth. I just hate that we're dragging our feet to this build. It's like, I throw down this challenge on SmackDown. It's Raw. I'm going to talk about The Rock, and then we're going to go to SmackDown Friday to answer his proposal. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys. Ugh. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the match that we're getting. I just hate that this build is going to be so slow. It's going to be so slow. It's so many promos. And normally I'm a promo person, but yeah, that 40-minute promo on SmackDown was a bit excessive. But we go from here to our first match of the evening. Probably my most entertaining match, is just how much I was laughing so hard in a good way at this. Dominic Mysterio taking on Gunther. I swear Dominic died like 3 times during this match. This match was a lot of fun. It
He
wasn't
didn't
so
just die.
he died like 3 times in this match. This match
Like
wasn't
his he
yeah.
was sent to Brazil. That's how the memes would say.
Oh my gosh. This wasn't necessarily much of a good match as much as it was entertaining to see Dominic get wrecked over and over again. And man, Gunther threw some hard chops in this match. He actually enjoyed giving Dominic a beatdown.
The commentators made this match like infinitely better with their commentary because they were like generally just like having fun and like roasting Dom at the same time as we are. Oh, he was great.
Oh my goodness. I love this team of Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. It is such a great thing. Good. Oh my goodness. So after Gunther was done murdering Dominic Mysterio over and over again, Damage Control has arrived at Raw, but Adam Pearce cuts them off. Damage Control says they're here to scout the women's talent, but at this point, Shinsuke interrupts and he wants to talk to Pierce about the Intercontinental Championship. They can go to Pierce's office and Pierce will announce it at later in the show. I'm just going to throw the rest of these in here. We've had a bunch of other people during this episode kind of talk about they want a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. And then we'll just throw this in here and not later. But here's his announcement later in the evening. We're going to get a gauntlet match next week on Monday Night Raw to determine who will be facing Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So it seems as of right now that throws my ladder match out the window.
Well, it could be we can still get one for the US title.
That's very fair. Because
Unless they're actually doing Randy Logan.
which would make sense given that what happened at Elimination Chamber.
Right. Yeah, we're getting a gauntlet. This is where I'm like, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I mean, like, unless like JD McDonough or I mean, it's kind of weird how he got involved, but
Honestly, I was like, how'd that boy get in this match?
I'm hoping Damian Priest doesn't cash in on Gunther. I still think he should
Yeah.
save it for Seth.
Yeah.
Um, Save it for night one of Mania. Take it from Seth after the tag team match and have Seth, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest night two would be dope. But yeah, I don't know. Let's say like the only person of all those that seem like he's going to wind up winning is between either Sami Zayn or Chad Gable.
Yeah. I'm picking those two as like my top picks to win that gauntlet to go on to face Gunther. And who knows? We might see where we end up going with that. But I think the gauntlet match is going to be great because all the men involved are really, really good. Sammy, Shinsuke, Chad Gable, JD, Ricochet, all of a sudden, like, that's a pretty good stack of gauntlet contenders. I'm just like, well, all right. I guess we got to figure out Gunther's opponent at some point. I'm sitting here, I'm like, but Gunther has beat everybody who is about to be in this match. So I guess why not?
Has he faced Shinsuke?
You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm not entirely sure. People in the
I don't
comments
think
let
he's
us
had a
know.
match against Shinsuke or Bronson Reed.
That is fair. How has Shinsuke and Gunther never interacted? That blows my mind if that's true.
It's because they're both heels.
I guess. Like, come on, man. We literally just witnessed Dominic Mysterio get murdered on television. Like, you could do heel versus heel.
Right.
Anyways. So then we get into I feel so bad for our women's tag division. Yet again, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark are thrown in a tag team match, this time taking on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. I'm having a hard time. I love my women's tag team wrestling, but it's really hard to get into this tag team division when we don't have a lot of challengers and they keep giving stuff without no goal in mind to work with. Like we just keep having matches for the sake of having matches. I want more for my women's tag team division because it's really, really
Yeah, they
hard.
gotta start they gotta push it. Also I wish going back to the when Shinsuke came out and talked to Adam Pearce and Damage Controls with there, I wish there was more interaction between the Japanese wrestlers, Konnichiwa or something. That would have been funny. I was kind of hoping to see that, but um, yeah, they need to push those belts more. I mean, nice. It's kind of like they're doing something with it, like showing that people are starting to wrestle and everything like that for it. We're getting Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus the Kabuki Warriors. And then there was stuff a little bit later on with Tegan Knox and Natalia talking, and one other team that were talking backstage about it. So they're starting to push it a little bit, but we need some more representation for those belts.
Yeah, and you mentioned this, but when the match is over, so Dakota Kai gets in the ring and tells Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark that they'll get their title shot next week against the Kabuki Warriors. That is if the Kabuki Warriors retain their women's tag team championships tonight at NXT's Roadblock TV special. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure they're going to retain because I don't see our women's champion and I don't see our women's NXT women's champion Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley beating the Asuka and Kyrie for those titles tonight. So we'll see what happens with
They
this.
really got to stop booking championship matches later when there's another championship match coming up because that just tells you who's going to win.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. Kind of going on a side tangent, the NXT boys, myself, Will, and Andrew, we all know that Tatum and Lyra aren't beating Asuka and Kyrie for those titles, but I wish they stopped booking these matches like right before we're gonna get NXT later tonight to see this match. I was like, we know they're not gonna win, but still, come on now. So
Also,
yeah.
here's a slight prediction. I think Trick Williams comes back and messes with Carmella Hayes' match tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna be Ilya versus Tony D'Angelo at Stand and Deliver, and Carmelo and Trick are gonna have a match at Stand and Deliver without the title. So that's gonna be a fun one. So backstage, Judgment Day checks on Dominic Mysterio after getting massacred multiple times during his match with Gunther. Well, and Gunther's being told, they check on Dominic
Well,
and
you forgot something about the Dominic the segment. Who
ooh,
was also in the room saying something to Dominic?
uh,
Andrade was in there.
we'll talk about Andrade in a little bit, but I'm very interested that they were teasing some sort of like relationship feud, whatever you want to call it, between Andrade and Dominic. So who knows? Andrade might get into Dominic's head and might actually get him to start kind of drifting away from the Judgment Day. It's fantastic.
Or Andrade is going to join them.
Yeah, Andrade. Ooh, Andrade joining Judgment Day would actually be an interesting thing.
Here's my theory why. We'll get about it. Well, I'll get into it a little bit more. Well, I'll get into it when we get to Judgment Day's match because the Judgment Day played a different role in that match than they normally do.
Oh, for sure. And we're gonna talk about it when we get there because the crowd was actually cheering for Judgment Day, which we'll wait until that. So next up, after we get a video package on the rivalry that has been Becky versus Nia up until this point, we get into our match Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax. This is basically the same match that we got at day one between these two, except Becky is being more offensive, and this was given a little more time. But there is a DQ because Liv Morgan comes in. Becky Lynch gets the disarmer on Nia Jax, which Jax rolls out to the floor, and then Liv Morgan is there to jump her for the DQ. I was like, as soon as I saw Becky cause Liv the DQ last week, I'm like, oh, Liv is definitely going to return the favor this one. So this is going to be interesting. And you know what? I'll include the backstage segment we got for this. So Becky ends up going backstage. She confronts Liv. She yells at Liv, saying, it's like, look, I already apologized for getting involved in your match. But what you did is, ridiculous. But you know what? Instead of crying about it, we're going to fight about it. So next week, me and you in the ring. And Liv says, sounds good, leaves. Rhea comes up. She just looks at Becky, laughs, and then leaves too. I'm just like, so let me poke your brain about this mini really quickly because I had heard some takes from some other creators on the internet, and I've talked to some of our boys here at the Biconics. How do you personally feel if we were to turn this match between Rhea and Becky into a triple threat or even a fatal four way?
I would be fine with it if the right competitors are involved. Like personally, I like if it's Becky versus Rhea, I want Rhea to win. I don't think Becky should be getting the belt right now. There's other talent that should be pushed to the moon right now. Like, not saying Becky shouldn't be a champion. I mean, it's Becky Lynch. She's done everything in the company. She's, always she's going to be a main eventer no matter what spot you put her in. But like getting Liv involved and having like Liv win because I'm tired of her taking fucking second place every single time she's in a match. Um, Tiffany Stratton, those kind of wrestlers right now who are coming up real hot on rosters, but it's depending on what you want to do. But I also want people to, don't forget Bailey also has a championship match at Mania because you know what's never being talked about right now? The fact that Bailey is going to be wrestling Io Sky.
Yeah, it sucks because I'm excited for that match. I think it's going to be fantastic. But once again, Bailey's being thrown to the side because, we're dealing with
It
Rhea and Becky and
I
all that.
I feel bad for any other wrestler that's not named Cody, Roman, or Rhea right now because like you're stuck in like the other storylines are good, but you're stuck behind like Rhea Ripley's arguably the most famous female wrestler on the planet right now. Cody Rhodes, who is right now, I think, bigger, like he's the biggest babyface in the company and involved in the biggest storyline this company has had in years with the bloodline. And you have Roman Reigns who's on the other side of that. Like the only people that are coming close right now are like Seth and Gunther. Drew a little bit because he's flaming CM Punk a lot, so people are like getting behind him. But like,
Yeah, it it it's really hard, and I'm looking forward to WrestleMania once we figure out what ends up being on the final card for both nights. But yeah, this one's the tough one for sure. I agree with you. If the right people were involved in said match for Rhea's title, but I don't know. We have a couple weeks. I'm just gonna see how they continue to build here. So after this is where Ricochet goes to talk to Adam Pearce, and then Judgment Day says that JD wants in on this. So basically, like I said, we talked about it already. Adam Pearce announces that there's going to be a gauntlet match next week on Raw. So Sammy, Ricochet, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed, Shinsuke, and JD. We are rooting for Sammy and Chad Gable to pick up wins here because I feel like those are the best two options to face Gunther, which then jumps into a quick squash match between Andrade and Apollo Cruz. Hi, Apollo. It's been forever since we were on television.
I forgot he existed.
I know. I was like, bro, what happened to Apollo Cruz? But I have to say, I got Andrade's like fake, like what was it? Like fake lariat into an elbow strike. Like was
It was a fake big boot.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that thing was gnarly.
That was his entrance. Also, that mask was sick.
I'm mad at the crowd that they didn't pop for this like I thought they were going to. I'm like, "Come on, you guys, this is
Well, 'cause
amazing."
I don't think people realized who it was because they at first they're like, "Huh?" And then they saw him come out, and then they realized who it was, and they
Okay.
started cheering.
Yeah, so but Andrade picks up the win. He does the Three Amigos, the spinning back elbow, running knees in the
But
corner. A
the
lot
the
they
three
called
amigos landed.
yeah,
Somebody finally completed the three amigos.
Andrade broke the curse. Holy crap, that's what I said. So commentary called his finisher La Sombra, which is basically a hammerlock DDT for the win. So Andrade picks up his first win here on Raw. So super happy. This was quick to the point to get Andrade a win here. I think Andrade has a chance to become a big deal if he is booked right, and hopefully Papa H will keep giving him the momentum that is needed because I love Andrade. I want to see more for him. Ah, so Sami Zayn is talking about the Gauntlet match, and then Ivar and Valhalla interrupt, and a match is made for later between these two. I'm never gonna complain anytime Ivar's on my screen, which we'll talk about it later. We get an in memoriam picture of Butcher Vachon, so very like legend in the wrestling community. R.I.P. Rest in
And
power.
Virgil does die too.
Yeah, it's
Also, another thing I'm not sure if you caught, Michael Cole called it out uh, about Sting's retirement,
yep.
and Pat McAfee mentioned how good the match was. So
Right.
they may not be referencing AEW, but they were talking about it.
Well, I mean, because Sting was part of the company, and as legend as Sting, you kind of have to talk about it. But WWE, you didn't let AEW use the footage of Sting for his stuff in WWE and WCW. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. That match was nuts. Minnie, if you have a chance, go check out the highlights.
I did.
Darby Allin
Darby
is
Allin needs to go see a therapist,
Darby Allin is nuts, bro.
and
Holy,
Sting's son should look into wrestling.
seriously. That was a great match. We don't care if it's Monday Night Raw. This is all wrestling related. Sting is officially retired, rode off into the sunset. Is great. So now we get into what you were talking about earlier. So backstage, Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, they want a tag team title shot. Natalia and Tegan Knox think that it's time for them to get more serious. Candice likes the idea for herself. And Indy, and then Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree come in, say it's going to be okay. Candice is not impressed. Indy says that she'll deal with this. So, I mean, we have all these women tag teams in the back. I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens with all this. I think Asuka and Kyrie are holding on to those titles at least till WrestleMania. So, unfortunately, I think Shayna and Zoe are not going to win next week, or something's going to happen. I smell that we're going to get like a fatal four way or a multi tag team match at WrestleMania for the title, I guess. All right. So now let's talk about the Bizarro World match that was the Judgment Day versus Imperium, because as I said earlier, the Judgment Day was getting cheered
Yeah, they were the faces of this match.
and people cheering, "Let's go, Balor." I was like, it's been a hot minute since I heard those chants for Balor.
I'm not sure if you also heard during the very end of the match when Finn did the top rope plancha or whatever to Ludwig.
Hmm.
You can hear Damian Priest going, "Hey Prince, it's time to fly."
Yeah. I love those little details. So, but Balor goes up to the top to hit a coup de grace to get the two. Priest comes back with a hard clothesline and the South of Heaven for the pin. I thought this was my personal favorite match of the evening. I thought this was a lot of fun. And I love that this match served more to showcase Priest than anything else. Priest did really, really good at this. I loved it. This was a great match. I thought it was fun. And as soon as this match is over, we get an announcement from Michael Cole and Pat McAfee that we have our first official person going into the Hall of Fame for this year, and that person is Paul Heyman. So congratulations to the Heyman for being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. I wonder if this was supposed to be Brock and then they'd put Paul Heyman in it instead.
No, I think Paul Heyman legitimately was supposed to go in
Hmm.
because I mean, Paul Heyman's been with the company for what 30 years now, whatever it was.
Through the
He's been wrestling with like
WCW and WWE days.
ECW, the originator for that. I think they originally wanted Brock to induct him,
but that's not gonna happen. So
So I don't know who's going to I'm hoping to get, like, somebody like RVD or Tommy Dreamer to induct him,
that would be fun.
but or like the Dudley Boys or something, but
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they would get to induct Heyman into the Hall of Fame. But good on Paul Heyman. I'm happy for him. Backstage, Drew McIntyre calls Seth Rollins a spotlight junkie. Basically, continues to take shots at Rollins and that the World's Heavyweight Championship deserves better than Rollins and Jey Uso. Then we get Rhea Ripley kind of coming up to Damage Control and telling them to stay out of her territory, which I mean, I would listen because if Rhea Ripley told me that, I would be running for the hills. Which then leads us into our match Sami Zayn versus Ivar. I mean, I knew what this match was supposed to be. This was fine. I mean, it was a perfectly fine match where Sammy fights back against the monster that is Ivar and wins in the end with his finishing move. This was a nice way to use Ivar and it worked very well. This is not going to be in my like top list of matches for the year, but it does keep Sammy's momentum heading into the Gauntlet match next week and potentially being Gunther's opponent for WrestleMania. I never get tired of the Beluga pig. It's one of my favorite things. Oh
I
yeah.
really wish he would actually make the Blue Thunder Bomb his finisher, but
Yeah.
he was kicked out of it. He does it so well.
I know it would never happen in an alternate universe, but I want to have a blue thunder bomb off between Sami Zayn and Konosuke Takeshita to see who has the crazier blue thunder bomb.
Who can hit it? I mean, probably Takesha at this point, but
Holy crap.
because WWE does a little bit. Like Sami Zayn doesn't even do his apron brainbuster anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder
He
if it
got but he got that from his long lost brother El Generico.
yeah, El Generico helping children in Mexico somewhere. As the legends go. So we head into like the final bits of the show. You know, back a lot of backstage promos. Bronson Reed wants to take out Sami Zayn and crushes him with the tsunami. Gunther says he's ready for everyone. Chad Gable tells Gunther that he's going to win it for his daughter. Jey Uso cuts a promo saying that Drew McIntyre wants an apology. And so here's an apology for the beating he's about to get. We see a like promo slash commercial where we see R-Truth, DIY, and Xavier Woods playing 2K24. Miz comes in. He has an idea of dealing with the Judgment Day, take their tag team titles, which makes me super excited. And here's hoping that they actually split the tag team titles now.
Well, they are so there's an announcement. There's supposed to be an announcement for it coming out, right?
Soon, I think. Not in this episode, but hopefully we get something for the men's tag team titles. And yeah, so we then get into our main event, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. I thought this was another solid match between the two. This definitely, normally I don't like seeing Jay lose, but I think in this case it's okay because we need to have McIntyre continue his build towards that title match at WrestleMania. And you know what? Jay still looks pretty good because it hasn't been officially announced yet, but he's getting ready for his match with Jimmy because Jimmy and Solo interfere in this match to cause a distraction.
Bloodline shenanigans.
Bloodline shenanigans, and I think I wouldn't be
Shenanigans.
surprised if Jay like attacks them on SmackDown the next couple weeks. It's like, you won't come to my show? Okay, I'm gonna come to yours and we're gonna beat down. I like the idea of Jay finally snapping at Jimmy and it's gonna go crazy, but I'm excited to see the official start to the build towards their match at WrestleMania. So after the match, Seth Rollins comes out to chase off Jimmy Uso, but then Drew McIntyre hits him with the Claymore. Drew yells at him to stop being selfish as Raw goes off the air this week. So, Minnie, we have reached the end of this week's Raw Squad review. So, let's get into what we normally do here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this week's Monday Night Raw?
Like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. It helped build some of the storylines and it gave me more confusion about others.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you. I think I'm going to give this like a 6.5 and 7 as well. I think we are building to what could potentially be some really fun stuff and a really fun WrestleMania overall. It's just that certain execution of choices to get these storylines built and whatnot is a little jarring to say the least. And it doesn't help when your big story is Cody, Rock, Roman, and Seth, and then Rhea, and then everyone else is scrambling to get some television time to make sure that people are invested in the matches that are going to be happening at WrestleMania. But I'm still excited nonetheless. So, yeah, that brings us to the end of this week's Raw Squad review. At the time of this recording, we are officially 4 weeks away from WrestleMania. So make sure you stay tuned because there will be an announcement in the next couple of weeks to talk about how WrestleMania weekend is going to look for us here at the Biconics. But until then, if you enjoyed this review, you can check out other Raw Squad reviews and multiple other review shows we have here. We cover all the WWE shows, all the AEW shows, Ring of Honor, TNA. It is a great time for sure. And we also cover pretty much every pay-per-view too, which is a hoot and a holler. You can follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod, where you can find notifications when videos go live, some fun clips, as well as some cool announcements. Like go check out our social media because we have partnered with Next Level and they're running a contest to see who wants to go to WrestleMania this night too. More details in our social medias in the description and links to those below. You can definitely check that out. And if you cannot watch our beautiful faces, you can take us on the go as we have audio versions of our podcast as well, which is a lot of fun. It's a great time. It is super, super exciting. And then, of course, the Biconics are going to finally be live and in person at the New Jersey WrestleCon Saturday, May 18th and Sunday, May 19th. We're going to have a table there. Come say hi, buy some merch, and let's have a chit chat. It's going to be a really fun time. But me and Minnie are going to get up on out of here because Minnie's got other things to do, and I got NXT Roadblock to watch tonight. So check out that review with me, Will, and Andrew. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, from us here at the Raw Squad Reviews and the rest of the Biconic boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Biconic, you beautiful guys, gals, non-binary pals, he, she, theys, and gays of the internet. We will see you next week for another Raw Squad review. But until then, ta-ta for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.